I'm trying not to. I give you a hug too. Because I see young women in the audience, so it was my way to.
Okay, hello everyone. I think I'm live. I think they've got my video up on the screen, so I'm just going to get started. It's going to be a challenge to follow someone who's that passionate, but I'm really pleased to be talking about a similar subject, which is really the human face of technology and how blockchain can support emerging economies. So if anyone's driving my slides, can you please go to the second slide? But can you put it up so that I can see it? Because I can't see it the way that you're doing it now. So either let me screen share or make it big enough that I can see it, because this is not going to work what you're doing now. Why don't you let me screen share? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the most important thing that I wanted to start with, and why don't you get rid of my face and just show the screen share, then I can actually read it and people can see it, is the report from Chainalysis on the geography of cryptocurrency have given us a real map of what's going on in the world. And this is tremendously important when you're thinking about the unbanked. So what we're seeing here is that, I can't see this. This is not working for me. I can't even read it. I'm either going to go on my own and you'll have to keep up with me, or we have to come up with another solution because I can't see that. Why don't you let me screen share? Sorry, everyone, but I can't see it. Okay, so the geography of cryptocurrency. So worldwide adoption in the last year jumped over 880%, with peer-to-peer platforms driving crypto usage in emerging markets. And this is really important because this is the principal use in emerging markets. And if you look at the crypto top 10 countries using crypto and owning crypto, you've got Vietnam, India, Pakistan, Ukraine, Kenya, Nigeria, Venezuela, United States, Togo, Argentina, and Colombia. And so peer-to-peer platforms share the greater volume of transaction volumes. US and China are lagging, they're falling behind. China fell from 4th to 13th and US fell from 6th to 8th. And DeFi represents one of the fastest growing and most innovative sectors in the cryptocurrency economy, and grassroots adoption is highest in emerging markets. So if we go on and have a look, we're looking at the changing adoption patterns, which started off with DeFi in US, Vietnam, Thailand, China, United Kingdom, but the pattern started to change around June 2020 with the traffic moving to other regions, especially Central and Southern Asia, as a total value sent through DeFi. And the reason I mention this is that even though DeFi started and had traction in some of the developed markets, it's now increasingly getting traction in emerging markets. And the reason that I think this is important is because the bottom billion, if we actually want to reach the unbanked, if we want to reach people who are not connected to government services, then we need to go to the emerging markets. Now, we need to think about how we can end preventable deaths in women and children using blockchain, self-sovereign identity for the 1.5 billion people who are not yet included in the financial system, and 2.5 billion people are unbanked. And the speaker before me was talking about this. Microgrid, green energy trading, carbon credits, trying to support those vulnerable populations with tokenized carbon offsets. So there's so many ways that blockchain is able to address some of the key use cases that are critical for people in emerging economies. I don't know if the slides are keeping up with me, but I'm now on the one for blockchain use cases. And so if you look at the issue of identity, 1.5 billion people are unable to prove their identity, and this is a prerequisite for financial inclusion and access to services. And this is one of the most important applications of blockchain. For financial inclusion, as I mentioned, 2.5 billion don't have access to financial services. Land assets and registration, people are unable to convert their land to value. And delivery of direct government welfare and donor payments, and thinking particularly post-pandemic, blockchain and digital assets provides a way to ensure that the funds reach the recipients in a transparent way. So moving to the next slide, agricultural supply chains is a critical way that blockchain is going to be able to ensure that farmers receive a fair deal, that we have transparency in supply chains, and we have transparency of provenance. So it improves traceability, transparency, and efficiency across supply chains from farmers to markets. Democracy is one where people have a lack of trust in electoral processes, and using blockchain is going to be able to improve the speed and transparency of electoral processes and reduce the costs. And then finally, with green energy, climate change, we're just coming to the end of COP. We need to move from carbon fuels to green energy, and we have the capacity with blockchain to move to microgrid solar energy trading and carbon trading. Next slide, which is the healthcare side. We're coming out of a pandemic, and this has been one of the most profound events in most of our lifetimes. And healthcare is an area that we've seen absolute acceleration of blockchain. You would remember those John Hopkins blood red maps that were telling us how the pandemic was increasing in the early days. That was all built on a blockchain platform that allowed secure health data sharing, which is one of the main applications of blockchain. So it allows more efficient and transparent patient payment systems, financial inclusion for poor families, direct health incentive payments to those, for example, for mothers to get them to come to antenatal clinics. And then we have supply chains for vaccines, proving provenance and efficiency, telemedicine and tokenized payments, blockchain-based polling for social accountability, and health data, which I spoke about, the secure data sharing. And then we have the personalized medicine and medical. Hello? Hello? Someone trying to speak to me? No? Okay, now we're moving on to stablecoin slide. So stablecoins, I mean, I know the previous speaker was talking about Bitcoin in El Salvador, and this is a really interesting experiment that's taking place. One of the issues with Bitcoin and Ethereum and the volatile cryptocurrencies is that they're not stable. So it means you can send $100 today, which is $50 tomorrow. Or, you know, if you're lucky, it could be $200. But stable coins, and this is a quote from Christina Segal-Knowles of the Bank of England, if new forms of digital currency can be made safe, they could potentially contribute to faster, cheaper, and more efficient payment with greater functionality. They could increase the resilience of payments, and they could even have longer term benefits for financial stability. So stable coins, COVID-19 has exposed the urgent need for low-cost digital transfers, and stable coins facilitate secure and convenient transactions without volatility and lower cost than mobile money. Listen, you're so far behind on the slides. I'm now on slide 13, stable coins. You just need to move along. I'm going to be able to watch what you're showing. Please keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. I'm on slide. Okay, no, not that far, not that far. I'm on slide 13. Stable coins.
Yo voy al baño. I'm going to the toilet.
Sí, yo también. Voy a hacer lo mismo.
Ah, vale.
Sí.
You're going as well.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. See you in a
be
bit.
right
That's not the right slide. Keep on going back.
Ah, lo está haciendo en el. Lo está haciendo.
Live.
Okay, stop there. No, no, go back to, no, next
Espera,
one.
le voy a dejar el.
Wait.
Okay, I'm so sorry, everyone. This is not ideal because I can't control the screen. Okay, so next slide.
Una cámara para hacer una foto.
Yep, I've just done that one. So move on to the next slide.
Sí.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is the capacity for stable coins to be able to contribute to humanitarian settings.
No, mi hija ahí.
So humanitarian, 80% of the
Mira
key
quién sigue.
functions in humanitarian is
Ya, mira.
moving money and logistics. So there's an opportunity for a low cost stable coin to impact on everything from back office support to getting money to people and managing the supply chain. So there's many compelling cases for blockchain in humanitarian. Please go to the next slide. The next slide, please. Thank you. Stable coins and financial inclusion. So stable coins can overcome the friction and reduce costs in existing cross-border payments for remittances
The best place to find
and
you.
the post-pandemic distribution to the unemployed
On the
during the
way down, right
coronavirus.
side,
And digital
waiting
money
for
will
some
allow people to build digital
little guy,
history,
name it
which is
behind
so
us.
important for access to
You
credit.
know where is-
This will allow them to extend cross-border trading opportunities and greater stability by giving the unbanked access to a store of value. And we've seen that in a number of countries, including Lebanon and Venezuela. Could you go to the next slide, please? One of the things that people are getting incredibly excited about at the moment are non-fungible tokens, but I want to share with you about what are NFTs and why they're really relevant for the poor in emerging economies. So you've probably had other presentations about non-fungible tokens. They're tokens which are uniquely identifiable and distinguishable. No token is identical to another. So crypto kitties, they're non-fungible because none of the kitties are the same. And the smart contract standards guarantee your virtual items' rarity, provenance, and authenticity, and they can represent the ownership of unique items. And this is important. So there's two areas where non-fungible tokens are important to the poor. The first is around NFTs and gaming. And many of you might have heard around Axie Infinity, which is a gaming platform which came to fame during the coronavirus pandemic in the Philippines, where people actually were playing Axie Infinity and earning enough money to keep their families out of poverty. So people were able to earn something of the order of $400 US a week. But in addition to that, now they have the capacity to be able to fund people who can't afford to buy Axies. They're called Axie Scholars, and Axie Scholars can play other people's Axies and earn money both for themselves, giving back a share to the owner of the Axie. And I believe we're going to see more and more of this as people understand the capacity to essentially create a new economy that the poor can access. Please go on to the slide after that. The next slide. Yep, thank you. No, next slide. Next slide. Okay, NFTs and charity. So one of the things though that we have been seeing is a lot of auctions of NFTs to raise money for charity, including UNICEF and the Giving Block, and Gateway helped fund fight against COVID. So there's a whole lot of ways that people are using NFTs to raise money for charity. But I think the key thing is that NFTs are physical assets that are tokenized, and this is still to come, because what we're going to see in terms of poor people is NFTs that are going to enable, for example, the tokenization of carbon credits, the tokenization, for example, of trees in the forest where people want to conserve forests to prevent climate change, and the tokenization, for example, of sacred sites to protect them. So I believe we're going to see tremendous innovation in the area of NFTs, which is going to benefit the poor in emerging economies. So the key point, please, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So with a simple mobile phone, and this is the key, mobile technology covers 70% of the world's population. Now people have the possibility of participating in the global financial system from which they have been excluded. Technology and blockchain really can transform lives, and we have been seeing that during the pandemic. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry the coordination didn't work very well with the slides, but I've made all of my key points, and I thank you very much for being patient and persisting with me. But there is no doubt that the innovations that we're seeing now in blockchain, DeFi, NFTs, and gaming are going to be a gateway to changing the pathway for the lives of the poor. So thank you very much, everyone.